Welcome everybody. Today I'd like to do a demonstration in regards to DaaS, Desktop as a Service, provided by VMware. We're going to start off first with the portal that you see right now, which is the user side portal. So as a user, you'd be able to log into this portal to make some settings for your particular virtual desktop. And then I'll also show you how to use the View client to connect to your virtual desktop. And afterwards, I will immediately follow up with a demonstration on how to use the Enterprise Admin Portal. That portal is specifically going to be provided to your IT admins. So when your company subscribes to DaaS, they will be provided with this admin portal for your IT admins to manage all of your DaaS desktops. So let's get started with the user portal first. So let's get started. And as you see here, again, we have the DaaS user portal. You have a username and password that you'll log in with. More than likely, this will be your corporate Active Directory username and password, because you can join your DaaS desktops directly to your corporate domain using either a site-to-site VPN or an MPLS connection. And this would more than likely say your name for your domain name for your company instead of this POC, which is mine. So let's get logged in here. Again, this is the user portal, so it's pretty basic and simple, not a whole lot to look at or adjust here. We start off at the top. We have a desktop tab, which is what we open up into, and then we also have a preferences tab. Along with, it shows you your username. It gives you a help link, and let me get this into the window here. This is your help link. It gives you several links to different information regarding your DaaS desktop. And then you have your logout link. So let's get started here. First, we have the name of the virtual desktop that you have been entitled to. Now, it is possible that your IT admin could assign you from within that enterprise portal more than one DaaS virtual desktop for you to use. Myself here in this environment, I have just one desktop, and as you see here, it is a Windows 7 desktop. If you click on the desktop link, this just launches a little information window telling you that to connect to your virtual desktop, use the Horizon View client, and to click on the download client in order to do that. And that link is right here. It is the download clients. And as you see here, it opens up a pop-up window, and then here you click on this to download the appropriate Horizon View client to connect your virtual desktop. Here under the protocols column, we have a couple different settings. Again, your IT admin can set up and allow you as a user how you can connect using which protocols. There are three: the PC over IP, your remote desktop protocol, and the BLAST protocol. So depending on whether you're using your Horizon View client or a web browser, and again, depending on what your IT admin allows you to do, here's your selection for either one of those. Typically, it's going to default to PC over IP. Also, you can go in and do some basic functions like powering off, shut down, reset, reboot, log off, and disconnect your virtual desktop. As well, you have the edit link, which just again gives you the option to select the default behavior for the connection protocol that you're going to use. Usually, you're just going to use this on the default. Then we go over to the Preferences tab. Again, a couple of basic selections that you can make. By default, it's set to full screen so that when you connect your virtual desktop, it will go full screen in your monitor. Otherwise, if you deselect that, you can select a specific resolution that suits your needs. But typically, most people are going to leave it on full screen. If you have multiple monitors, you can also span multiple monitors so that you can use, for example, if you have two, then that way, and you use full screen, it will be able to use both monitors. If for any reason you need to adjust your connection speed for your remote desktop experience to either limit it or make sure that you're getting the max out of it, you can select that. Typically, you can just, most people nowadays are going to be on some sort of LAN with a good connection, so you're going to get 10 megabits or higher, so usually the default works. And once you make your setting changes, depending on what you select here, you can also disable some features here, depending on what you're using, or if you're using potentially a thin client, and then you just click Save, and that'll save your settings. That is it for the user portal. Now let's go ahead and take a look at connecting to your actual virtual desktop using the Horizon View client. So I brought up the Horizon View client, as you see here. The first time you do this, you will need to add the connection string to your DaaS client by clicking on this new server button, coming here, typing it in, and that'll be provided to you. And once you do, it will show up just like this one here is here for myself. So I'm going to double click this to connect. When I do that, it's going to ask for my login credentials. Again, most likely it's probably going to be your corporate username and password. And select the domain if need be. Once you log in, you will then see whichever virtual desktop has been entitled to you. Again, if you look here, this is the same one that was showing up in my user portal. Again, if you had multiple virtual desktops, they would show up in here, but we just have this one for me. Double click on that to connect. And then you will connect to your virtual desktop. As you see here, I have a Windows 7 desktop, and it is a full-featured desktop, and I can use various different applications just as you normally would. Google Chrome, any of your Office products, any applications that your company may have loaded on your virtual desktops. And all that's done from within the enterprise admin portal that your IT admins will manage and manipulate your virtual desktops in your DaaS instance. So here you use just like you would any other physical desktop that you might be used to using in your company. And whether it be a browser or whether it be an Office application, no matter what it is, you log into your virtual desktop and use it just like any other desktop that you're normally used to using. And that pretty much completes all there is to the user aspect of your DaaS virtual desktops. Again, next I will show you a demonstration on how to use and manage the enterprise admin portal for your IT administrators for your corporate network. Okay, I'd like to demonstrate now the enterprise portal that when you get a DaaS instance, you need a way to be able to manage all of your DaaS desktops. So if your IT admins need a way to be able to manage your desktops, deploy them, entitle your user base to specific desktops. All that needs to be done by your IT person. So when you get your subscription for DaaS, your company will go ahead and will connect up your desktops to your local data center, to your local environment at your company. You're going to do that either using a site-to-site VPN or maybe an MPLS connection. Once you do that, you can then add your desktops to your domain from your local data center. And obviously you're going to need to manage that. Okay, so this enterprise portal is something that is only accessible by the customer's IT admins. VMware, we cannot access this enterprise portal for your account. It is strictly only for your company and your IT admins to access this enterprise portal. So again, let's go ahead and enter in to the enterprise portal for your IT admins to manage your DaaS environment. So when we enter into the portal, you're going to see it comes directly to the dashboard tab. So we are right here under dashboard. You see that we have a mappings tab, a pool management tab, and a configuration tab with several submenus underneath these tabs. This dashboard is just that. It gives you a quick view into your environment. You see this first box here contains information regarding the users. This one here is for desktops, gives you your total number of static desktops, how many are running at the moment, how many are turned off. You have your desktop pools, whether they are dynamic or static, and the numbers associated, as well as the particular data center. VMware has several data centers around the United States and a couple other locations around the world. Depending on when you set up your DaaS account, you can select a specific data center that you want your DaaS desktops to be in. You can also select to split them up between several in case you are a global company where you have offices in the United States as well as in, say, Europe. You could split those desktops up, say 25 in the United States and 25 in the data center in the UK. It's up to you. It gives you some flexibility there. So this is the main dashboard that you come into. Now, when a IT admin for your company first comes in, first thing I would suggest doing is going to the Configuration tab. Once you go to the Configuration tab, I would go to Service Summary. The Service Summary here, this is kind of like your receipt for what you're going to be billed from VMware monthly. This is all the billing associated to all the desktops and any additional add-ons or whatever that you have purchased. So as you see here, it gives you what data center that you're in. So here's some of the different data centers. And this is a demo environment that we have. You're also going to see the type of particular DaaS desktops that you have, either advanced or standard. Those are your two options. Advanced is one virtual CPU. Advanced is 2 virtual CPUs and 4 gigs of RAM. The standard is 1 virtual CPU and 2 gigs of RAM. It also tells you whether they are set up to be session-based, the type, the quota. So for example, on this data center with this account, they have a 50-pack of desktops. This shows how many are remaining. So they have built 4, so again, used 4, remaining 46. And it shows you, again, the advanced memory and CPU, which is 4 gigs and 2 vCPUs, and whether it's active or not. There's also some other information here, but again, this is a good place to go to see what you're actually being billed for, what services you bought into. The next step would be to go to Pool Management. At this point, we would go to Patterns. Now, patterns, what they are is basically, you might know them as a gold image or your virtual desktop templates. We provide, as you see here, several virtual templates for you already that VMware has built. The advantage of these specifically are that they have been tuned and optimized to run in a virtual environment. There are certain modifications you can do so that virtual desktops will run with better performance in a virtual environment. So they have these already created. As you see here, you have an option of a server 2008 R2 that's skinned to look like a Windows 7 desktop, and then you actually have your 32 and 64-bit Windows 7, Windows 8 desktops. Okay, so we provide those. Now, you can also, if you choose, if you have your own virtual desktop template that you'd like to bring into your DaaS environment, to use that, because you have a company standard desktop that you use, or base image, you can upload that into your environment and use that. Just know that we do have these already created here, and again, these are optimized to run on a virtual environment. So what you can do, if you don't want to use a template and you'd like to use the benefit of our template, which is optimized, you can then add your applications as needed to the base image, and then you can modify them. As you can see here, there is some basic information on your virtual desktop patterns that we have, and again, you can go ahead and make modifications and update them to suit your needs. So once you have your templates in place, the next step then would go back to Pool Management, and then we would create a pool. Here is where we would go ahead and create a pool. A pool is a grouping of virtual desktops. So for example, you might create a pool for your accounting and finance department. They have a special application that is only for the personnel that are in your accounting and finance department. You do not want any other employees to have this application on their desktop because of the type of information associated to it. You have two choices. You can create individual desktop based, or you can do session based, which is your remote desktop based images. But we're just gonna, for demo purposes here, we're gonna do an individual desktop based. You'd click next. You then can select which data center you want them to be in. Remember, you do have that option. So let's just pick the California one. You would then call it whatever you want. Let's say accounting pool. You would select that pattern, either one of ours or one of yours, or ones that you have modified. And just for example purposes, we're going to select that one. Desktop model, again, you have your two choices depending on what you've purchased with your subscription to DaaS. If you've only purchased standard desktops, then you would only be able to do standard. If you purchase both, then you have your option. So we're going to pick standard. Your protocols. This is a selection to where you're giving your users that are going to be accessing the desktop in this pool the ability to connect to these remote desktops either using RDP, the PC over IP protocol, or the HTML5 BLAST protocol. You may want to limit this, or you may just want to automatically give them all. We're going to select all. Your desktop type is either dynamic or static. Static is going to be that virtual desktop will be assigned to a specific user and will always be there for them. Or if you create a pool of desktops, that automatically creates a desktop whenever somebody connects, and then when they log off, that desktop might be deleted, and then when they connect again, they would get a different desktop. So their settings are not going to remain. So we're just going to say static. And then here again, you could base it on your particular pools that you have. And at this point, you could customize the pool or you could review it. I only have read-only access to this, so we're just going to do a review. And when you go into the review, you will see the other additional options that you can do within the customization portion. So you will see here you have some basic information on the pool configuration that we just went through, along with a few others. Windows configuration, assign groups, domain, whether it's joined to the domain or not. More than likely you do that by default. The domain itself, run once scripts, various different items that you can customize again. So here's some other items as far as the specs, virtual CPU, virtual RAM, number of NICs, and various other information. So that is creating the pool. So you've modified your template, you've then created a pool, and then after that you can go to browse your pools. Now here's a list of pools that are in this particular environment. As you can see here, you have some information such as the pool size, the type of desktop, whether static or dynamic, the domain that they're on, the data center that they're in, how many people are actively logged in. As you see here, we can go in and edit some of the information here that we've seen before and did earlier. You have pool information, provisioning, remote applications, VM configuration, pool configuration such as session timeout, and user experience such as mapping drives, whether or not you have mapped drives with the clipboard, printers, smart cards, COM ports. So there's different options that you can go in and modify these pools. And as you see here, also in this particular column, again, these are pools, these are not individual desktops, this is grouping of desktops. You can actually, much like an individual desktop, you can power on, off, shut down, reset, reboot, and suspend an entire pool. And then of course the mode is the particular status that it is, either online or offline right now. So you can see there's a lot of different information on your pools here, and you can go in and manipulate the pools to a certain degree. You can also click directly on the pool, again, to see some of these configurations that we've already looked at, as well as the virtual machines associated into this pool here, and some information on that, and also the current sessions to those particular desktops. Finally then, we would go over to mapping. Once we've done our template, we've created a pool, we have assigned desktops to those pools. Now we need to map users to desktops. Now again, under the pretenses that I discussed earlier, was that these desktops are going to be on your corporate domain. So with that, you will see your Active Directory users and groups in this here. So these are essentially Active Directory groups and users. So if we were coming in and we wanted to specifically assign a user, let's say that we were going to select this particular user account here, and we wanted to assign them a specific desktop, we could click here to add, and then we would go ahead and either add them to a desktop pool or directly to an individual desktop. Again, in here you can see that this person is already associated to this particular desktop, and from here you can also edit the information. It tells you that the desktop is powered on already, the associated IP address, as well as some basic actions much like the other screen where you can power off, shut down, suspend, reset, and reboot the particular virtual machine. Now you can also search for static desktops directly, or again you could go to Active Directory groups. So if you have a pool of desktops where you just want to dynamically assign users to a dynamic desktop pool, you could also assign say a DaaS desktop group to that particular pool, and then that way they will dynamically be assigned a desktop from that pool and they'll have permissions to do that. So that is most of the configurations and settings and the process in which an IT admin from your corporate network would go in and manage your DaaS instance for your company. And again, we can go back to the dashboard, which is the overview of your entire environment for a quick look to see for total number of users, desktops, how many are on, how many are off, how many desktops you have left based upon how many you have purchased in your subscription as to how much you have used. This is the enterprise admin. Again, you, the customer, would be the only ones that have access to this. VMware does not have access to this by any method whatsoever. So it is very secure in that sense to where only you in your company IT admin department will have access. That pretty much completes the inner workings of the enterprise admin portal, and I hope this was useful to you.